Hello folks, and welcome to the channel, or welcome back. And you might remember that in a previous video I was asking if I bought a cat in a sack with this 1966 Ford Mustang. I received so many good comments, advices and tips from all of you, which is a little bit too much to sum it all up who made what comment. But you can see it for sure in the previous episode. Comments that were good comments, there were other comments that were pretty severe, and it really made me think. And based on all those comments and advice that you've given me, I kind of made up my mind what I'm going to do with this car. But first, let me go back to the major comments and the minor comments, and then I'll tell you what I'm going to do and what the plan is with this car. The first and most important comment was related to the engine and the chassis number. There is no doubt that the engine inside is a V8. It's the 289. However, the comments that were made was like, no, Steve, the VIN number tells me that it was a original CID 200, which is the 6-cylinder inline. And that's what most of you commented on. So I did a bit of a closer look on the chassis number. And with the serial number properly exposed, you can see that we actually have a T, and the T is referring to a 6-cylinder. That was the origin of this car. And that also matches up with the vehicle ID number. Now, when the car came in to Belgium, we can see that it has been the first time used in Belgium in 2025. We've got the same chassis number on it, but it was marked already as a 4900. So that means that the car has been modified somewhere in the US before it was exported. Somebody mentioned as well that the grille in the front is not a 66, because that should have been horizontal lines. This is actually the grille of a 65. Not that I worry too much about that, but I can imagine if you are a collector and you're a purist, that this has to be right for you. The most serious comment was the fact that so many people spotted it, that the wheels only have 4 lugs on it. Now, that is not typical, as I understood. For a V8, this is again an indication that the car is having the front steering swivels for a 6-cylinder. Although they've put the sign up 289, and of course it is true that it's a 289 inside, but in essence it is fake. And in the back we have exactly the same situation. We've got the 4 lugs. Now that is going to become a problem, and if I had known this, I probably would not have bought the car. But I didn't know, I didn't pay attention. I focused on the MOT paper, which was error-free, clean as a whistle, and good for 5 years. So I didn't really bother about looking at the lugs on the wheels. But now I know. So thank you guys for that. You can imagine if you lose this specific special socket, it's going to be tough to get the bolts off. So we got a disc, and it seems like they worked on it before. It's a single pot brake caliper. But what I'm more interested in is the swivel. And that swivel looks to me like most of you told me, the one for a 6-cylinder. That's not a good idea, so that will have to be changed. I was able to source the spindles, or the swivels as we call it, in the Netherlands, and I made sure that I had an 07 and an 08 on the markings, because that's left and right. And it all rotates. It's a bit rusty. Of course, the discs are going to be changed. The bearings will of course be changed, but at least I was able to find the parts. This was another 100 euros. It's remarkably stronger than the one that's on there, so we certainly have to change that. And that is a good advice from you guys, because you told me to watch out for that and to check it. And in the back we got drums for a 6-cylinder. I think they have worked on it before, but all that stuff certainly has to go. And the rear axle is, of course, the 7-inch, what we expected, together with the diff. So you guys were absolutely right. This was a conversion from a 6-in-line to a V8, but it didn't do the front suspension, they didn't do the rear suspension, they didn't do the rear axle, they didn't do the brakes. So this has become a fairly dangerous car, and to be very honest, the brakes are really poor on this car. I tried it out and I don't even get it how it got through the MOT. So that is why I already have sourced some parts. I was able to source a 8-inch axle. I wanted to go for a 9-inch, but the 8-inch will do because that should be good enough to about 380 to 400 horsepower, as I was told. The good thing on this axle, we still have the lug or the tag on it. I do believe that's already one of the newer types, not the 66 or a 65 because of the bump here, but maybe you guys can tell me exactly what kind of year this would be. So the indication on the tag is that it's a 3.25. That's the gearing. It is a 8FD. So F and D stands for, I believe, the month and the day. And then the 8 refers to a open diff. So it's not having a diff lock or a LSD, limited slip differential. But maybe we can get one installed. So we will clean this guy up and then open it up later and see what we need to do to the internals, because it may have potentially a lot of backlash. Everything seems to be straight and rotates. And it doesn't have a lot of backlash. So they didn't upgrade the front suspension, they didn't upgrade the brakes, they didn't upgrade the rear axle, but still they placed the V8 inside, which makes this car pretty dangerous to drive with. I'm even surprised it passed MOT. So now the question is, what will I do with it? Will I keep it as an old-timer and get it registered on the road? Or do I convert it to a closed racetrack car? I think the fact that this is an original 6-cylinder, although converted to a V8, and we may even change the axles and the brakes and all that, it's always going to be, according to its VIN number, a 6-cylinder. So maybe it isn't worthwhile to keep it as an old-timer and have it registered for public road use. And that's why I'm inclined to modify it completely into a classic historic race car. I would like to hear your views on that, what you think, what I should do. But I can imagine that most of you that are enthusiasts and that are maybe purists even, would probably say, well, none of the numbers are matching, nothing matches up on this car, just make it into a race car. Maybe others will say, well, no, don't do that because you're going to waste the car, you're going to be too wild with it, and and you go crazy, you might crash it. And as you know, I do race cars, I do like to race old-timers. So, my current idea is to convert it to a race car. And this is what I'm planning to do. But I would like to hear your advice of what you would do. So in terms of suspension, I'm going to have stiffer front springs, different shocks, and I will do the Shelby mod, so lowering the upper arm, which will give me a better road handling. Also, we're going to have a much stiffer anti-roll bar. Right now it's a very tiny one, but I want to have a real thick one there so I can reduce the roll on the car. So that's going to be in the front. And in the back, I'm going to have stiffer rear springs, and the shackle will be lower, so the car is going to come down quite a bit. In the front, the car will come down already with the Shelby mod. In terms of brakes, I'm going to remove the front discs, and then we're going to install Wilwood 4-pot calipers with a vented disc. That will make a big difference. The back drums will need to go, and we're going to install Wilwood disc brakes. And of course, we're going to change the master brake cylinder with a Wilwood dual action master brake cylinder with separate circuits for the front brakes and the rear brakes, and complete new pipes. Together with a valve, we can adjust front and rear balance in terms of braking. The rear axle will be replaced with an 8-inch. I would have preferred a 9-inch. I'm going to try to find an LSD for that new rear axle, so which is a limited slip differential. But one thing I certainly want to do is to install a panhard rod from the chassis frame down to one of the springs. So it's a rod which basically would go something like this. So this is going to hold the rear axle in place whenever we are cornering at high speed, because otherwise this whole thing can shift a bit. So that is certainly something I want to do. There's a couple of those on the market, but I might make my own. And then while we are here, here is our gas tank. That guy has to go, and I will put in a fuel cell with an electrical pump, not a mechanical pump as it is right now. In terms of exhaust, I see that currently we have the pipes in the back. I might consider taking the pipes to the side, but therefore I'm going to need some headers, probably 2 3/4 inch pipes, and then I might end up with a 3-inch major pipe. Well, let's see. For the mufflers, I'm planning to use absorption types. This is a straight through pipe, as you can see, and they are damping a little bit, not a lot, but they have very little flow resistance, and I don't want to have too much flow resistance. They come in different lengths. I might have 2 short ones and one longer one, or a short one and a longer one. I will have to see how many decibels the engine is going to make, because we are limited to 98 or 95 decibels on certain circuits, like Zandvoort, it's 95. So I got to make sure that the mufflers are not too loud. I'm planning to have them on the side in front of the rear wheels. To stiffen up the frame a bit, I'm planning to have a torque box right here installed. So that's going to connect the inner frame here with the outer sill and will make it a bit stronger. Also, the suspension tower will benefit from that, but we'll have a look in a minute. In terms of steering, I haven't mentioned the steering yet. I might actually see if I can find a rack and pinion steering. I'm not sure if I can find one. Because what I don't want to do is with the steering wheel do this all the time. You know, when you race, you want to drive like this. You don't want to move your hands. So I want to do this cross, and I should have the full circle on the car. I don't know if I can find one, but if you know anything like this, then let me know, because I'm interested in it. Let's have a look at what we're going to do in the engine bay. I kind of briefly mentioned that we're going to change the master brake cylinder with a dual piston type from Wilwood, so we can drive the 4-pot calipers. We will put in a new export brace to stiffen the suspension towers, but also I'm going to put an additional rod up here in the front just to make it a bit stronger even. But that's all chassis work. The radiator will go, and it will become a larger aluminum-based one with a better cooling efficiency. But also the big fan that we have here, that will be removed, and we're going to use 2 electrical fans that we can control. The distributor will be replaced. I'm not going to need a vacuum and advance anymore, that's got to go. But we're going to fit an MSD ignition system on it, which is a capacitance-driven system, which is providing much better sparking. The battery will be removed from the engine compartment and goes inside the driver's compartment in a sealed box. All electrical wiring, relays, and whatever you have will be stripped, so the whole harness goes out, and we're going to put a new one in, modified with a fuse box on the dashboard and all the relays and switches closely to the driver or the pilot. The tubes for the heater inside, they will be completely removed. There's no need for a heater inside the car when it's a race car, so all that goes. So we can save a bit of weight. We have no airco, we have no power steering. We will need a catch tank for the oil. I don't know yet where to place it, but it might go over here somewhere. We might also need one for the cooling liquid, which is then the expansion tank for that, which is going to go on the side. I have that also laying on the shelf, so that I don't have to buy. And that would be about it for the engine bay. But now let me talk a little bit about the engine, what I'm planning to do with it. For the engine, I'm aiming at 385 horsepower. I think that is still doable. With this type of an engine, of course, we'll have to make quite a couple of changes, especially on the head. I'll go for the 60cc compression chambers on the Edelbrock Performer aluminum heads. They come in a set of 2, of course. And then you have a matching intake manifold from Edelbrock Performer, and then most likely I will fit a 600 to 700 CFM carburetor from Edelbrock onto that. I think that will already increase the power quite a bit. At the same time, I'm going to probably fit a different camshaft, a faster one. I'm looking at 285 degrees. I don't think I will go more because I want to have it still running kind of decent on lower RPMs, so the engine is not really hunting when it sits there on idle. But please let me know what is a good amount of degrees for the camshaft to put in to race with this car on a closed circuit. Of course, the fuel pump, as I mentioned, will go in. The fuel pump will be in the back next to the fuel cell. And for the rest, I think that's about it. I don't know about the pistons yet and the crankshaft. I certainly will have to change the flywheel, probably a lighter one, and then put a race clutch in. The gearbox, I haven't looked at it yet in very close detail because the engine still has to come out. I think it's a top shifter that's in it. I think it's a T4, but I'm not 100% sure. But once the gearbox is out of the car, we can then have a closer look. So in each case, I will go for that T4 or T5. It's a lot of stuff that I need to get, and it's not everything yet. The interior will be completely removed and stripped, so even the headliner needs to go out. A lot of the stuff on the dashboard will have to be modified. All the carpets go out, so it's going to be pure metal. The cards on the doors, they will have to be removed. I still need to keep the handle, and I need to check what the regulations are. If I need to close the door gaps and open or not, I'm not sure. But also the glass is going to go out in the back, and it's going to be replaced with a special plastic. The front windscreen will stay, that's a given. And then we need to weld in a full roll cage, which is going to be the main hoop around here. With legs to the back, and then it's going to come around in the front and on the top here. So that's going to be quite a bit of work, and that's why you need to take almost the whole car apart. And it goes without saying that we have to have a proper race seat and harness. And we need to install an emergency breaker, which will cut all the power on the car, one inside and one outside. And finally, we're going to install a fire suppression system, for which we have a whole bunch of nozzles in the engine bay, but also in the cockpit, together with flex aluminum tubes that is distributing actually the powder or the gas that we're going to use. And as this is a big car, we're going to need a big fire extinguisher. And here it is. So this is a brand new one. So that will be installed also in the passenger side inside the cockpit. So with this, we can then pull it manual from the inside the cockpit, but we can also pull it from the outside in case of a fire. I sold the MGA, and every penny of the MGA will now go into the Ford Mustang. I would like to hear your views. Do I keep it as a street car, or do I convert it to a race car? Knowing very well that it's going to be expensive to convert it. It's going to cost me around 20,000 euros or dollars to do so, but that's the money I have made from the MGA. So folks, we have come to the end of this video, and I might have forgotten a few things, and I'm really looking forward to your comments and recommendations and advice, because I'm still learning about the pony. Thank you. Bye-bye.